Welcome back. Look, if you've been following this transfer window at all, you already know the heat is absolutely being turned up across the Premier League. But right now, the ultimate battleground, it isn't for some flashy new striker or a rock-solid center back. No, it's right in the center of the pitch. We're looking at a full-blown midfield arms race. You've got Arsenal, Newcastle, and Manchester United all locked in this high-stakes maneuvering that could, quite literally, dictate who lifts the trophy at the end of the upcoming season. Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today, we're looking at the Bruno Guimarães standoff, Arsenal's midfield shakeup, Newcastle's transfer trauma, and finally, Man United's massive overhaul. Section 1. The Bruno Guimarães standoff, Arsenal versus Newcastle. So there's a totally stark contrast in positioning between these two clubs right now. I mean, Newcastle is feeling absolutely zero pressure. Their stance hasn't wavered for a single second. He is simply not for sale, and they aren't welcoming any bids. And honestly, why would they? They've got him locked down until 2028 with an option to extend right into 2029. On the flip side, though, you have Arsenal. They are highly willing to buy, and they're actively exploring the conditions of a deal behind the scenes through intermediaries. It's basically an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. But the absolutely crucial point here is where the player's head is actually at. If we look at Bruno's stance, well, he's walking a very fine line. He would definitely welcome a move to Arsenal if an acceptable bid were made. However, he's fiercely respectful of Newcastle United, he is absolutely not forcing a move, and he's not kicking up a fuss behind the scenes. Because of that mutual respect, there has been zero official club-to-club contact yet. Basically, Arsenal's going to have to present a bid that Newcastle simply cannot refuse if they want to break this deadlock. Section 2. Arsenal's midfield shakeup, clearing the decks. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where Mikel Arteta's head is at right now. He recently stated, "I want to evolve this team." Now, he said this right after that crushing Champions League final loss to PSG over in Budapest, and that quote really anchors all these transfer rumors in actual urgent managerial intent. You know, he doesn't want a long, drawn-out summer. He wants business done quickly and efficiently so he can build a squad that's actually capable of conquering Europe. But to do that efficiently, he has to make space, right? Let's take a quick look at exactly how Arteta is clearing the decks. First up, Christian Norgard. I mean, he's barely seen the pitch since his move from Brentford, making him a prime candidate to get shipped out. Then there's Leandro Trossard. His departure is seemingly imminent, with a deal already agreed with Besiktas. And finally, you have Ethan Wenneray. His future is completely uncertain after his loan spell at Marseille really left him looking pretty far down the pecking order at the Emirates. So the message here is crystal clear. If you aren't crucial to the evolution, you're out. Section 3. Newcastle's transfer window trauma and the fear of getting gazumped. Now, while Newcastle fights tooth and nail to keep their captain, they're also desperately trying to bring their own midfield targets in. But to really understand their window, we have to tap into the very real emotional stakes and, honestly, the anxiety of their fan base. Just consider this recent timeline of pain. It perfectly illustrates why Newcastle fans are so incredibly cautious about any new rumors. Let's go back to last summer. They thought they had Benjamin Sesko. Nope, he ended up at Manchester United. They were pushing hard for Hugo Ekitike. He ended up at Liverpool. Fast forward to this current summer. They thought a deal for Victor Munoz was totally done, only for Liverpool to snatch him at the absolute last minute. They have been brutally burnt by late gazumps. So when a massive fee like £49 million is agreed upon in principle, as it currently has been with Freiburg, you can totally understand why literally no one in Newcastle is popping champagne just yet. This massive financial outlay is for Switzerland's World Cup standout, Yan Makami. Now, a verbal framework is in place and personal terms aren't expected to be a problem at all. But there's a catch. The deal is completely on hold. Makami flat out refuses to deal with any transfer business until Switzerland's World Cup run is officially over. And with a massive quarterfinal against Argentina looming in the early hours of Sunday morning, Newcastle fans are just forced to sweat it out, praying that history doesn't repeat itself while they wait. Section 4. Man United's midfield overhaul and the double medical swoop. So while Newcastle waits, Manchester United is striking. Central midfield hasn't just been a priority for them, it's been the absolute obsession of this window. Just think about this dizzying array of names to really understand why they're moving so aggressively right now. The void in the center of the park is just massive. Casemiro has officially left the club. Manuel Ugarte, who frankly they might have sold anyway, suffered a horrific knee injury playing for Uruguay and is going to be out for the best part of a year. That leaves a huge, gaping hole. Now, they do have high-profile targets like Aurelien Tchouameni, but Jose Mourinho fully expects him to sign a new deal to stay at Real Madrid, so United has to look elsewhere, and they have to act super fast. And act fast they have.
We are talking about a colossal £50 million deal. That breaks down to a $48 million initial payment, plus $2 million in add-ons to secure Andre Santos from Chelsea. It's a huge financial outlay, for sure, but his medical has already been taking place this week, and this one is fully expected to be wrapped up sooner rather than later.
Let's move forward and see how this builds into something even bigger, because they aren't stopping at Santos. Right now, literally as we speak, a medical is actively ongoing for Ederson. That's a £38 million move from Atalanta. On top of that, they're tracking Bournemouth's Alex Scott and the incredible 18-year-old Moroccan international Ayoub Bouadi, who's been tearing it up at Lille and turning heads at the World Cup. The sheer scale of United's ambition here is pretty breathtaking.
So we've seen tense standoffs, massive clearouts, lingering transfer trauma, and aggressive double medicals. It's an incredibly high-stakes game of chess playing out right before our eyes. So I'll leave you with this to think about. With these massive midfield moves poised to completely dictate the upcoming season, which club do you think is actually winning the transfer arms race? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we keep tracking this fascinating market.